You got to get ready to talk about mental health by drinking.
Yes.
That's on the checklist of signs of someone is not mentally well.
Yes.
So there was one thing, last piece of weird news. I didn't know if you knew this. I didn't know this. Back in 2017, Gatorade was banned and fined $300,000 for bad-mouthing water in a video game.
Toy Story?
Gatorade.
Toy Story? Every single time, Aaron.
I was literally the last episode we were recording as I had this Gatorade to drink. I thought of that little whole scenario. I was like, oh my god.
You were thinking back to your shame of when you were thinking about Toy Story instead of Gatorade.
And when I just clearly was not paying attention to anything that was going on at the moment. Because I don't remember why I was looking up Toy Story.
Who knows? Because the mind of Aaron is a very unique mind and a very unique place to be in.
Yes.
As everyone who has ever known you will ever be able to attest to.
Yeah.
It's a very childlike mind. It is May still, surprisingly. We've had weird temperatures this month already. I don't know if I like it or not. The nice chill and then
also
crazy
hot.
Hot.
Well, granted, it's only been 70s. It's also been kind of humid because we've been getting a decent amount of rain.
See, it's been 70s here.
It's been like up to 90 more in state.
I say where I live, it's in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And I'm only like a county over.
Yeah.
I'm only a half hour away from you. I'm not that far from you. And it's ridiculous the temperature difference between the two areas.
The lakeside versus inland a little bit.
Well, just recently.
Barely.
Well, just recently, right? This past Tuesday. Everywhere around Milwaukee, Kenosha, Racine had tornado watches. But Milwaukee, Kenosha, Racine didn't have tornado watch because the wind from the lake was cooling it down and stabilizing the air enough that there was no way a tornado could form in our area. But all the counties around, it was tornado watch.
I know that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, I'm sitting there up in Franklin where I'm at, which is still technically Milwaukee County. But,
yeah.
It's just crazy humid, crazy hot. I come down to Racine and it's a lot cooler.
It's cool. Yeah.
And it's stable. I'm like, what the?
Well, just going from so if we went to my sister's house right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much cooler it is there compared to just right here.
Yep.
And I'm not too far from the lake.
I know. So
that really makes a big difference.
So May's already been crazy with the weather, at least here in Wisconsin. In other areas, I'm sorry, I don't know what all your other areas are like weather-wise because I do not pay attention to the weather in all 50 states because
I guess why would you?
Quite frankly, I don't care.
It doesn't impact you.
It doesn't impact my daily life. It doesn't impact my activities of daily living at all. But it is May, and it is also something that is near and dear to my heart, which is mental health month, awareness month sort of deal. And this is probably the first thing that I've seen that has come out of California that I was like, wow, something good actually came out of California. Not Mental Health Awareness Month, a website called suicideispreventable.org, where they have a little checklist of the various signs and all that to look out for and resources. And I was like,
nice.
This is the first good thing to ever come out of California. And yes, I stand by that statement, knowing that Hollywood is in California. This is the first.
Hollywood's gross.
This is the first. Well, I'm talking about like all the movies and all that come out there.
Yeah.
And so like, this is the first good thing that's ever come out of California.
Wait, first thing ever or first thing in a long time?
Ever. We'll say ever.
Okay.
Because California is just a cesspool of horribleness.
Icky. Sorry, Californians. It's just Californians, but then I was going to say something else, but I couldn't think of where I was going, so that's how that happened.
All right, fair enough. So so May is, like I said, Mental Health Awareness Month, something that is near and dear to my heart. Not because I deal with mental health issues. So obviously it's going to be near and dear to my heart, but also B, I feel that A, it's gotten better. It's gotten a lot better in the church about acknowledging mental health issues compared to maybe 10 years ago, compared to, and then compared to like my mother's generation and that where it's mental health is, oh, you're depressed. Well, you must not pray enough.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I wish that was the case because, oh boy, would I pray for that to not be the case and not be a thing that impacts me and drives my everything I do and impacts me and makes me even remember how to interact with people. It's amazing how that can just change things.
Hmm.
It like when I have a time of like something maybe go, I get like maybe a shorter terse response from someone over text. So again, over text, you can't read context of things, and you're just like, I gotta sit there and go, remember, don't know the full context of what's going on. I don't know their tone. I don't know what's happening. Back off, Paul. It's okay. They don't hate you. I still have to do that to myself because
Oh, yeah.
my brain immediately tends to go to the very negative on that.
Yeah.
Every single every single time. Every single time. It just once you go down that depression hole, you never seem to fully get out of it fully. It's always kind of there with you. I know I've talked about before. It's that concept of the black dog. I remember talking to you about that a while ago. Remember that?
Yeah, a little bit.
So the concept is that essentially that dog's kind of with you at all
Oh.
aspects of your life.
Yes. Duh.
Now you're like, oh wait, now I remember it.
Yeah.
Yay. It's just that it's one of those things of like a real dog, you need to learn how to control it and it not control you. You're never going to chase it away permanently. It's one of those things of you have to live with it, and it is something that you are going to live with and learn how to control for the rest of your life. It's something that actively I have to do every day. It's like, oh yeah, got it. This is how the situation is, and this is how a normal person would think of the scenario, not how I think of it.
Ugh.
Yeah, essentially that's what I do to myself every day. I do that. Literally, it's like,
Come on.
Someone said something, I have to remember, they're probably not trying to be how my brain wants to interpret it.
Perceiving it.
Yep.
Right.
And that took a lot of it took a lot of therapy, both group and personal, but it also took, medication to get me more stable,
Right.
more thinking like a normal person, and just going down that path and learning those new things of like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I can take my medication, but that also means then I can't drink as much as I used to before. I'm down to like a drink a week because otherwise it just negates all that medication that is doing for me.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's a personal thing for me, especially me being at one point where I want to take my own life.
Yeah.
And I don't wish that on anyone. I don't want to be there again. And not on my worst enemy. I don't want that.
Weird.
What's so weird?
I'm just thinking how obviously when you're in a better state of mind, yeah, you would hate or never want to be back into that whole, like, I guess, well, yeah, suicidal mindset. It's like once you're in that mindset, it's like almost like you don't want to leave it. It's weird.
It's not so much that you don't want to leave it, it's you can't see
I'm just
the
talking from
positive.
personal experience.
Oh, you don't
Okay,
want to
I'm
leave
just
it. Oh, okay. Your personal experience of this, huh?
I mean, ish, yeah. I don't know. It's so easy, like just stay stuck in it and just like stay there.
Yeah.
And then I guess that's where it comes. I guess for me, like it's been like where it's like obviously I lose motivation for just about anything.
Yeah.
And then it's like kind of like cozy and relaxing in a way, but also terrible at the same time. Because it's like I'll just sit in the dark and just be like, "Meh,"
I don't know about.
and actually feel comfortable, but then hate where my mind is.
I don't know if I would ever say mine was cozy.
Well, not
It's-
brain wise, not cozy. I'm just about like physically cozy.
Oh no, not even physically cozy. I don't think
okay.
mine was
I
ever.
get physically cozy.
Okay, mine wouldn't necessarily be physically or mentally cozy ever. That it was always that self cycle of hatred,
Oh
and
yeah.
self hatred. But as far as physically, it wasn't. It was actually painful,
Yeah.
and it wasn't because I was like cutting myself or anything. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I was tempted. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I was tempted for a lot of things. Didn't fall into those temptations. Didn't let myself go with those temptations. Obviously, I'm still here, and that's a good thing. It was definitely one of those. I wanted to physically do something painful to keep my mind's
off.
pain at bay temporarily.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it was in that regard, that way, where it was painful and where it was uncomfortable for me and where it was definitely something I, like I said, did not want that. And why I think for me, I stayed in that mindset so long. Not that it was comfortable. Okay.
Mhm.
So don't think it was, so again, not that it was comfortable, but that I couldn't see the positive light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Metaphorically, obviously. You know,
Yes.
I couldn't see where things would get better while in that state. You know, and that's true of a lot of people when they're in grief or hurting or in scenarios like that, where it's just like, this is how it is, and you're like, I don't know how it's going to get better. I don't know
Well, it's
how.
not going to until it does.
Well,
At least
sometimes it just takes time for things to get better, and sometimes
Yes.
it takes you actually acting and doing something to make it better. What that would be depends on what's going on, what the scenario is, and what the situation is. But that's what it is. But like I said, this is the first good website coming out of California. Like I said, the suicideispreventable.org, which I look at their list of their signs. I'm like, yeah, all these are very obvious, but it's what I like about it. They give you age categories, like teens. What are critical signs? What about older adults? And what are just signs in general of 30 to 40 somethings, or in your case, late 20s to 40, 50s.
What?
Yeah, you're no longer in the teen or the older adults category. You're in the standard adult category, Johnson. Congratulations.
Ew. I didn't get a cookie for that though.
No, you did not get a cookie for that. Instead, you got a whole grain multigrain chip with salsa and cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese.
Ugh,
Yum.
not a fan of the cottage cheeses. Never have been. And just
Delicioso.
sure. Let's go with that for you, not for me. Anyways, so like I said, it is May. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. It is something near dear to my heart, and I think it's always something good as a reminder to keep in the back of your mind of knowing the signs when someone, I guess you could say, is in danger. I say this not as someone trying to be critical, because people see these signs and go, oh, they'll just get better, or I don't know what to do, or I think back, and I hate that I put you in that position at that time. What are you shaking your head for?
Oh, I'm just the Xbox.
I know, but I mean, I hate,
Yeah.
but I
No,
still hate
yeah,
that I
yeah.
put you in that position. Okay.
What can you do?
Exactly. That was, geez Louise, 4 years ago.
Yeah, so when you're talking about how like the whole mental health stuff was probably a complete taboo subject, like especially 10 years ago. I was like, shoot, I didn't even know what mental health was 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's like, yeah, it really was. It's crazy. It's
Well,
taken
it
so
was
long.
definitely more acknowledged outside the church, but inside the church, even then, there are still to this day churches and denominations that they consider like depression or any other mental health condition, because there's a wide variety of mental health conditions out there, right? Schizophrenia and all that. They could consider that either demonic interference, or your faith isn't strong enough, or
Punishment.
yeah, punishment for something. And it's like, wait, hold on. No, it's not. And I will fight you.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the few topics
Absolutely.
I will fight on, and unabashedly so. I don't care. I could be yelled at and screamed at by the rest of the deacon board, but that is one topic I will fight on. I know we just had a conversation. We just had this whole thing at church about like good talks, we're having
Yeah,
conversations
civil
about
discourse.
civil
Paul.
discourse, but I'm sorry, that's one topic I will fight you on. I don't care.
We'll throw hands.
There are certain. I will try the civil discourse path first, but if it comes down to it, yeah, we're throwing hands. Because
Which I think is okay. I would say that's quite all right.
Because here's the thing, on a lot of things, when we talked about the civil discourse, these are a lot of things where it was opinion based, and they are not life and death.
This is very much so life and death.
Mental health, especially depression, can be very much life or death. And I'm not talking about just, life and death of one person. As we were talking about in the book, it could be a multi-generational thing. You have a parent that commits suicide. That's gonna, or like me. Okay, my dad died.
Mm-hmm.
I was lost. I had no idea what to do. Now, if that had been from suicide, I can imagine how much worse that would have been.
It would have been.
Yeah. So that's why I said this is an important one. This isn't like what's, we're disagreeing on abortion. Yes, that's the death of a kid, unborn child.
Yeah.
Okay. But we're not talking about that, where unfortunately we don't have control over that, because if the mother decides to do it either by going to a doctor or using a coat hanger or whatever, or using plan B and overdosing on plan B to force the body to abort, ultimately we don't have control over that, but we do have control over a couple other things with regard to depression, on how we can even acknowledge that it is an issue. And yes, I'm not discounting the fact that there may be at times spiritual demonic influence in it, but there are definitely times when it is just purely physical. It's purely physical.
Yeah.
It's a chemical imbalance in my stupid brain.
Well, I'd say it's still pretty smart. That's just hurting in the one area.
Oh yeah, it's pretty stupid in the one area.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm careful about those things. And that's why, I make sure, A, I take my medicine, but also B, when things happen where it's like, and I'll give you an example recently, it's like I got a response from someone that was just like a one-word response, and my brain immediately went to, oh, this person hates me. Well, that friendship's over. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, pull back a second. Let's look at the history of our entire conversational history with this person, and let's look at the years I've known them. I was like, no. They're probably just busy. Pull back a second, brain, and look at this from the non-emotional side, the logical side of things, instead of going, oh, they hate me.
Yeah, take a step back, take a deep breath.
But that is a hard thing to do when your brain immediately jumps to it, and you haven't had therapy. You don't have medications to help stabilize you, because you jump into that, boom, there goes your spiral. You are spiraling downwards into oblivion, and next thing you know, you're, hi, Nurse Sarah. Hi again.
It's been a while.
Yeah. This is a good reminder for everyone out there. Know the signs of depression because there are definitely things out there to know, things to see, things to take into account. So I'm going to ask you, Mr. Johnson,
Yeah.
because A, I felt bad for A, putting you in that scenario 4 years ago, but also B, at the same time, it is good for all of us, that includes those of us who deal with mental health, to know what the signs of depression are. Because sometimes they may just seem like, oh, someone's being moody today.
Well, yeah.
So,
Which I guess, yeah. Yeah. So what?
what are some of the signs of depression that you can think of?
One that I would think of is, well, isolation.
Mhm.
More like, yeah, keeping yourself back from interacting with people, or just, especially if they're things that the person would normally enjoy.
Yep.
No, again, with the whole moody thing, like, obviously that can be something that happens. But it's like, normally if you're moody, that might happen once or very seldom times. I suppose if you're depressed, it's gonna be more often and happening more often. If you start to notice it being a common thing, then definitely something's up. But I guess it's always good to kinda, like, even if you notice that for, like, the first time, obviously check in and be like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And
Yeah.
stuff like that. Because I mean, it could just either be the very beginning or something's been happening and now it's just starting to have an impact. So, I guess it's always good to check on your fellow man, see how they're doing. But yeah, the biggest one I can think of is isolation. Obviously, if, I guess, things are said that involve either self-harm or suicide,
Mhm.
then that's definitely something to be like, "Oh, what?" Especially if it's something that's not normally said by them, like, 'cause in which that's always, like, one thing that's obviously it's like it's I don't know, I feel like a lot of people always will say it's like it's not a thing to, like, to joke about,
Right.
but obviously people do, and that happens. But it's I mean, if someone were to make comments that involve, yeah, just harm or, ending of life about oneself, especially if it's not something that's norm as something that they said before or whatever, then it's like that should be a sign. I guess I would even think getting into, habits that are destructive
Okay.
to one's health. As far well, obviously, as as I poured a glass of whiskey, you'd mentioned drinking is on this list. So that one being like, yeah, like noticing someone starts to drink more and more, and then obviously if you let that go on, it becomes more heavily, and
Yeah.
so that's any kind of, I guess, drug or substance that would cause impairment to distract the pain that they are currently feeling.
And
Opioids, drugs, all that kind of fun stuff.
yeah, any others you could think of?
I guess it's just irregular behavior that's
Okay. So
not good.
so you got 5 of the 13 major signs.
Frick!
That's 38%.
13?
Yep. So let's talk about some of these. These are the normal ones. So this site does again categorize it by teens, critical things to look at, older adults,
Yeah.
or you know, just normal whatever, right?
Okay.
So and now some of these change with older adults. So we'll talk about normal people first, and then we'll talk about the old, and then we'll talk about teens. So
So
you hit
teens and
5 of
old
the
people aren't normal?
no.
Okay.
No, they are not. And
Okay.
that is both a commentary on how they act as well as the fact that especially like teenagers, their brains are just being doused in all these chemicals and hormones and everything. Yeah. So the 5 that you got there, right? The reckless behavior, increased alcohol or drug use, sudden mood changes, withdrawal, and then the talking about wanting to die or suicide. Okay. Those are the 5, right? The
Isolation?
withdrawal, that's
Oh, that's
isolation.
withdrawal. Oh, okay, 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 okay.
Yeah. So other
Yeah.
things that if your friends talk and say these things, hey, take this as a warning sign. Okay.
Yeah.
Putting their affairs in order.
Putting their affairs in order.
Like they're like, oh, I have to get my will updated. Like, I can't wait to get my will updated. I have to get this updated now. Like this is
Oh.
like that, what putting their affairs in order of like what happens after they die, where does their money go, where's their house go, where's all that, right?
See, I've thought about doing that
No,
myself.
no,
but that's
putting your affairs in order like is responsible, okay? But saying
Yeah.
like I have to do it urgently, like I need a lawyer to do this tomorrow. Like, where
okay. So
there's a
really
difference between
hot
that.
on it. Okay.
Yeah, like they're really hot on. Like it's a big priority for them putting their affairs in order. Not like you, where you're like, I should put my affairs in order. Maybe a month later, you get around to it. Okay, giving
Love
away
you, that's-
possessions, where like you're like walking to a friend's house and you're like, oh, that's a nice guitar. Oh, you want it? You like it? Have it. And it's just you're like, take it, go.
See, but I almost have that mentality anyway sometimes. Oh no.
Or if you have friends that like you're going through their house and like, this is
Yeah.
where I keep my keys. This is where I keep my money. This is where my will is. This is where my lockbox is.
Well, I guess obviously I don't have all of that, but I guess a lot of my friends I would trust to know where some important stuff is. Maybe I should trust less.
Yeah, but it's one of those things again. It's like if this is outside their normal,
Out of the normal behavior.
like all of a sudden, your friend who never tells you where their keys are or their spare keys are or all that, and you come over one day and go, just in case I'm not here anymore, here's where my keys are. Here's where my wallet
What do you
is.
mean you're not here
Exactly.
anymore? What are you talking about?
Exactly. So that's another thing to keep an eye on. Now, again, if you have a friend who's kind of been like that, like willy nilly, like, oh yeah, go. You could like, hey, can I borrow $10? Yeah, just go into my wallet. It's over there.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. But if all of a sudden their
$10.
behavior's changing, again, that's the big thing with a lot of these is
behavior's changing.
it's a change of behavior.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, like, wait a minute, hold on, something's up.
That's
It
not normal.
it should catch your eye. Now,
Mhm.
some of these you might not be able to see, like anxiety or agitation. You might not see if someone's having anxiety. Some you might, depending on how they freak out with anxiety. But
Uh-huh.
if it's an all of a sudden thing of like someone's really laid back, not having an issue, and then all of a sudden they are just anxious, that tells you something's off.
Hmm.
Something's wrong. When I got out of the inpatient care, going to that hockey game was oh man, just being around all those people, I was not comfortable that entire time, and I don't blame Andy. And part of my getting out so early was I was around people that entire weekend. And
Yeah.
so part of it was I wasn't expecting Andy and them to just drop everything, but Andy was like, "Hey, we're going to this hockey game," and I was like, "All right, cool." And I'm like, "I hate this. I hate this. I hate this." I was not a happy person while there, but made it through, and life was good. Yay! But you might not be able to see when someone's having a low anxiety attack, but sometimes you will, or you'll notice, be like, "What's going on? Why are you shaking? Why are you nervous? What's going on?"
Right. Oh.
Yeah, you could tell when someone's getting panicky, right? Usually,
Yeah.
but and if all of a sudden they're getting panicky over something, and that's outside their norm, hey, red flag. It's not a guaranteed red flag of depression, but it's a guaranteed red flag of something's going on.
Yeah.
And take a look at it. So these first ones we're talking about, these first 6 they're like on the outer shell. They're indicators something's going on, but it might not necessarily be depression, but something's going on.
It's just good to see what's happening.
So the sudden mood changes, like you talked about, right? Withdrawal. Another one. Talking about being a burden to others.
Ah.
Why did you?
Yeah.
Does that resonate with you somewhere?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard
You've
stuff
heard
like
that?
that said. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, those are some of the things. Now, bringing in a layer in closer, right? You brought this one up, reckless behavior, changes in sleep.
Oh. Okay. So
And-
not sleeping as much, I'm guessing, or does
No.
it just matter? It doesn't matter. It's just a
It
change.
could be you could sleep more or sleep
Yeah,
less.
I can see how sleeping more too.
I mean, when I was going through this, right?
Yeah.
I would sleep, oh geez, 12 hours a night Plus, I was still tired at work. Like, I was almost dozing off at work.
Ooh.
Like, I just could not get enough sleep.
Yeah.
I was done. I was drained. It was just tiring.
Yeah.
It was tiring being depressed. It was sad. It was horrible. I remember messaging Andy. I was like, "I almost fell asleep at work today. Jeez Louise." And it was just like, "This is not good.
Yeah.
Not good
Not
at
at
all."
all.
So, yeah, and some people go the opposite way where they can't sleep and they get restless and they may go down to a couple hours of sleep a night and be fine, but obviously that's not good for you mentally as well.
No.
So that's another sign, again, on this kind of like inner layer. Feeling hopeless, desperate, trapped. They don't see life getting better anytime soon.
Yeah.
And again, not 100%, hey, this is depression, but hey, something's going wrong. Red
Yeah.
flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. Make sure your friend, family member, whatever is okay, sort of deal. Then the last one on this layer is no sense of purpose. They feel like a burden to others. People who have this may say something like, I don't want my family or friends to have to worry about me anymore.
Yep.
Again, they're feeling as though that their very existence is causing their family and friends, essentially, that their very existence is a burden on them. If I wasn't here, then they'd be all happier. You hear that? That's a red flag.
Big red flag.
So
Yeah.
that's that middle layer. Now the inner layer, this is like, hey, something's really going on. You better be careful because we're on the real inner edge right here. So one of them was increased alcohol or drug use. That was me beforehand as well. I by the way, when we go through after we get done with this, I'm going to go through. I think I had like 9 of these.
Ooh. Woo.
Yeah. Talking about wanting to die or suicide. Obvious. That's a very obvious one.
Yep.
Uncontrolled anger. That's another one. So the ones I had: increased alcohol use, uncontrolled anger, changes in sleep, feeling hopeless, no sense of purpose, withdrawal, sudden mood changes, anxiety, agitation. What was the other one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, and the talking about wanting to die or suicide. I had 9 of those. That should have been like huge red flag to everyone around me, but like some of that, like the uncontrolled anger, I felt it, but I kept it in check outwardly. Like I kept it in check outwardly, but inside
it's just raging.
Yes.
How do you see that then?
I know that's the thing. Sometimes some people, and I put me in that inclusion list here, learn how to make some of these just inside our own head and keep it contained so the world doesn't see.
Yep.
And that sucks that some of us have learned how to do that. And it's also very dangerous because then other people don't see those red flags to be able to help us.
So it's too late.
Yeah. So that's for adults, right? Teenagers, the list is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And the layers are a little bit different.
Is there more or less?
Less.
Oh.
So so we're going to go from outer layer to inner layer again. Okay. So teenagers, outer layer, loss of interest in things. Things that normally they like, all of a sudden they don't have interest in it. Okay. That's a outer layer. That's something's going on. Might not necessarily be depression, but something's going on. Yellow flag, yellow flag, yellow flag. Sudden mood changes. That's, on the same layer, right? But that could also be just being a teenager.
Yeah.
Giving away belongings. That's on the outer layer as well.
That's not normal for a teenager to do.
Yeah. Go back into the middle layer now. Personality change. That might be, from like if it happened between the ages of 12 and 15, like gradually, okay. But if it happens like overnight, nope.
Yeah.
No. Neglect of personal appearance.
Huh. I didn't think that would be Interesting. Okay.
In the
I
example,
mean, I can see why, but again, I'm also someone that never cared about personal appearance. Really,
right? But
so
let's say, but that's the thing.
I've never cared.
That wasn't a change for you.
No. Yeah,
Okay.
it's always been the
The
same.
example they give is, let's say, a preppy boy, right? Always dressing like a prep, always every hair is in place. I think we know someone like that who shaves his shoes and all that. I don't know if he still does. I wonder if he still does. Anyways, but you have a guy like that, and then something happens in his life. Let's say a parent dies, and then the next day, a few months later, he still looks like he's just rolls out of bed every day.
Gee.
That's a drastic change from how he was to how he is now after something happened.
Yeah.
That's a warning sign. That's something's going on inside the head. Like, why all of a sudden did you go from every hair in place to
I woke up
have you
out of the-
washed in the last like 5 weeks?
Did you even bother taking a shower this morning? No.
Mhm. Yep.
Mhm.
Physical pain.
So, like inflicting pain?
No, so
Oh.
like headaches, stomach aches, fatigue.
Oh, okay.
So in teenagers, it can manifest that way. Substance abuse. Again, this is still in that middle ring, you know, especially if it's a change where they weren't using a substance before. Obviously at that age, as a teenager, even alcohol, technically illegal. Let's give them to a parent at dinner in Wisconsin. I don't know about other states. you know, but going from none to substance is that middle ground warning sign. And then
That's interesting. Because, I mean, it's like so many kids, well, high schoolers, teens, whatever, at some point
again,
want to get into that.
it's that change, So that's why I said it's that middle ring. It's not that whole.
Right.
It's not the you got to get them into the hospital now sort of scenario.
No.
So what I find funny. So remember, withdrawal for adults was on the outer ring. Withdrawal for teens is on the inner ring.
Okay.
Withdrawal,
Yeah.
changes in sleep, and reckless behavior are all middle ring, or all inner ring.
Inner ring. Reckless behavior.
Yeah.
Really? Like, again, I guess if it's change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, if
Because I feel like so many teens are reckless.
yeah, I know exactly. So that's why I'm like, yeah. And then you move to older adults. So now older adults, we're not talking about people my age. We're talking about people in their 60s or plus.
Old man.
Shush. Theirs are a little bit different all around, which is just weird. So the outer ring, failure to take care of self. They don't shower, they don't shave, they're wearing a stained t-shirt every day out in public.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Changes in sleep. Saying goodbye.
What?
So like just going to a family member and be like, it was such a nice life with you. Goodbye. Here's my favorite guitar.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very different goodbye.
Yeah. That, stuff like that. Saying goodbye, like, this is, I won't see you again, sort of thing. Then getting affairs in orders. In other words, again, they're rushing quickly to get that will in place.
Well, sometimes you kind of need to.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Sometimes, like, if they're in a bad medical state, then yeah.
Yeah. No,
But
yeah.
obviously, if you're dealing with someone who has depression or depression symptoms and they're doing this will thing, it's like, keep an eye on it because there might be some suicidal tendencies in there. This is still yellow flag territory. This isn't like
True.
double red, like, oh my goodness.
Freak out.
We have to get things. I love how they have on here in the middle ring, depression as one of the signs. Yep.
Depression is depression. Woo.
Depression. Well, again, depression for suicide awareness sort of thing. Yep. Hopelessness, which I would kind of tie in with depression, but okay, let's go with it. Neglecting doctor's orders. An older person.
That's a tough one too.
Doctor's like, hey, you should do this and this and this. This will
No.
help you live longer. And then they go, no, I'm not going to do that.
Care.
Cranky, crotchety old men.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. And then increased substance abuse. That's all middle ring. Inner ring. They're preoccupied with death. They persistently talk, read, or think about death or suicide. Withdrawal. and looking for means to self-harm. Now, critical, so so they have teens, adults, older adults, and then they have critical. Now, the critical ones are if you see people with these symptoms, it's like, hey, really pay attention because they might be looking to hurt themselves or kill themselves
Yeah.
quickly in quick succession. And they only have 3 here. They have the yellow,
Yeah.
the middle, and the red is dead flag. Okay? So the first one is they talk about feeling hopeless or having no reason to live. You could
That's
see
bad.
that. You could see that, depression, suicide, and that.
Yep.
Second, middle ring, seeking methods for self-harm such as searching online or obtaining a gun. Well, geez Louise. It's California where this is coming from again, so remember.
Anytime you want a gun, that's bad news.
Apparently so. So apparently I've wanted 2 in the last month, according to California.
Paul, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, actually.
Okay, good.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Hey,
here.
couldn't that be one lying?
No.
What? That couldn't be a sign?
Oh, a sign of...
I'm sorry, yeah.
I was like, what are you talking? My brain was still on the gun thing and like maybe filling out the form thing, and then...
No. Yeah, what if someone just lies?
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Uh-oh.
If I were to come here disheveled, completely... Okay, yes, I'm a little unshaven right now, but it's not like real bad.
Pull
But,
yourself together.
But like you could tell, like it's horribleness unshaven. Like just
Oh, well, yeah, for those. Yeah.
like the hair looks maybe a little crusty because it has been washed in a little bit. There's spittle going down my cheek. Maybe a little food stuck in my beard. I look like black underneath my eyes because I'm just so tired. Not wearing mascara or emo stuff. Just
I like what you did with your new look, Paul.
and you go, hey, is everything okay? And I go, yeah, everything's fine. And I'm lying to your face.
I wouldn't believe you.
Okay, so there are times.
But if you buy a gun,
yeah.
What if you lie about that? Be like, oh, okay.
Again, this has come from California, so California thinks guns are magically dangerous and going to kill you. So that's why I'm kind of like, on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are things that's like, oh yeah, keep an eye out. And then the middle one, the red is dead flag, talking about death or suicide. And they're like, that's a critical thing. It's like,
yes, absolutely.
It's like, yeah, do that. So you have that, right? And it's like, okay, what do you do then, Mr. Johnson, if you're like, I think Paul is in trouble and I think he might be considering hurting himself. What do you do then?
Not pray it away.
Yes. Okay.
Obviously, prayer is good.
Yes. I'm going to include that as part of it. But
yes.
what's that conversation? What's that conversation you have to have with me then? And see, now that you're older, I don't. I hope I never am in that spot again.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. But B, now that you're older, I'm not going to feel as bad about putting you in that spot again. if it ends up in that spot, But what do you do then if you suspect I am in that spot?
He is asking about how they're doing okay, but then do you hope they're honest with you?
Mm-hmm. So do you?
I guess I guess express concern, I suppose, in a loving way. I don't know. I guess I would first, like, initial reaction, I guess, would be to be like, hey, like, I've noticed this and that. Just like, is everything okay? Is there anything going on?
Mm-hmm. But what if you have an inkling, like, okay, and I'm just gonna give you a scenario here. We are talking, and I'm just like, yeah, you know what? Life isn't worth living anymore. Why not just end it all?
At that point, I'm making a call.
Who are you making a call to?
Oh, I might make a few calls. I mean, if you think it's something that's going to happen at any moment, I mean, I would literally probably just call 911. So that would be the first call. Hopefully, I'll know where you're at. So then
Well, let's say I'm sitting right here, and I said that.
oh, well, I would make sure I'd probably want to start putting anything away that could harm you. I guess if we're together, I'd probably want to call other good friends of yours. Be like, hey, are you busy right now? And maybe go for a ride somewhere.
I love how you put it. Maybe go for a ride somewhere.
Gosh, I guess yeah. If we were together, my initial reaction would be I would want to add because after just saying that, I'd be like, I guess I don't know, part of me would want to ask are you for real right now?
And see, knowing you, I could understand that response. Like, are you for real right now?
Yeah, come on, don't know. Because then, yeah, I mean, I guess the first idea would be to be like, oh, well, let's get some people that are good friends over. Let's talk to them. Be nice to them for once. And
Be nice to them for once. Oh, geez.
No. And then I guess depending on how that situation escalates, whether it be willing or not, if needed, which it's like, how do you decide on whether it's needed or not? Well, I guess if someone's saying that it's not worth living and that doesn't, but then what if they lie about that later? Oh no, just so they can go home and go away. Oh. I just feel most comfortable just taking you somewhere.
Somewhere. Where's somewhere?
Hospital.
Hospital. You just be like, drop me off. Here, he's your problem.
Take him. He needs help. Shoot. Yeah, I'd want to get people that you're close with involved. And hopefully it goes okay. Or gets better. But at the same time, there'd always be a part of me that'd be like, ooh, I wouldn't want to leave someone alone at all. So it's like, what do you do?
So this is why I asked that, because it's important to have a plan
Yeah.
on how you would respond.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
As we're noticing, as you're trying to think through, it's like, what do I do? What? So the first thing you should do, is obviously if like I say that just out of the blue, hopefully that's in the middle of a conversation. Hopefully it's not like just random, like boop, 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 boop. Oh yeah, just like, yeah, life's not worth living anymore. But and then go on to something else, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's in the middle of a conversation, right? And at that point, what you should do, and I'm not just saying for me, I'm just saying in general, okay, is start that conversation like, why do you say that? What's going on? Is something happening going on that makes you feel that way? Sort of deal. You're asking them what's kind of going on in their head. You're asking for their perspective, and that gives them a chance to open up a little bit. Okay. The big thing about this, though, and I will put myself in the same boat here because I'm just as guilty as this. Guys, we tend to try to want to fix things a lot of times. I love Josh. I love Josh, but I keep going back to some of the conversations where he interrupts. He's like, "Bup, bup, bup, bup." I'm like, Josh, just listen, please. Listen, I have to have the same conversation with my mother. Again, he's the female version of my mother, or male version of my mother. Oh, jeez.
It's 2022.
My brain is just not working all the way. But anyways, the big thing is listen.
Yeah.
Listen and don't try to sit there and be like, fix.
Yeah.
Because as much as like you may want to, Andy may want to, Josh may want to, Pastor Dave may want to, guess what? If I'm in the middle of something like that, that's not going to work and that's not going to fix me. And my brain's still going to be just as broken. But listening and expressing concern and expressing empathy goes a long way. The third thing, create a safety plan. So what I mean by that is this. You and one other person have full permission, if I ever go down that route again, to go, give me the guns. You go, do you have guns in your house? let's say this isn't me, this is someone else, right? You go, do you have guns in your house? Do you have prescription meds that are not needed that you like maybe you took someone else's prescription meds and are abusing them or something like that? Do you have any of your pills that could be harmful for you? Is there anything else in the house that has been tempting for you to harm yourself with?
I mean, wouldn't you just get creative though?
You
If
could.
need be?
You could. Don't get me wrong. You
Yeah.
could. But, it's beyond the, hey, give me these things that we know can harm you. Because if you're in that spot, you're not thinking and you don't care. You'll use the gun or the knife or whatever, right?
Right.
But you're removing that temptation. But then it's also, okay, if you have these thoughts of, I'm going to just go in and take these pills, who are you going to call? And that might be you, that might be, someone else, another close friend or someone that's closer or something like that.
Yeah.
What are you going to do in these scenarios when you're tempted to take this action? Sort of like that. And then, it's also one of these things of like, yeah, you can ask them like, hey, will you promise me? Because sometimes, especially if it's a friend, if you make a promise, there's a little more weight behind it. Will you promise me you won't do this and whatever this is, be it harm yourself, kill yourself, take a bunch of pills, whatever. Will you promise me you won't do this while we try to find you help? Now, obviously, if you think that they are like ready to pull the trigger, 911 is the way to go. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. There's certain things that happen then when you do that, but it's better that someone be alive, better that I be alive than and not have the ability to do certain things than to be dead. Okay. The next thing is to get help. And that means maybe finding a inpatient program for them to get to a psychologist, find a way. And you might have to, as the friend, be the one to make the appointment for them and then maybe even drive them there. Okay. So those are things that you should do. Now, what are some things you should never say to a person who's in that situation?
Oh, you'll be fine. Just give it time. Get over it. You'll be okay.
So
Stop being so dramatic.
So some of the things, yes, those things also be like, fine, if you want to be selfish, kill yourself, then go ahead, do it. See if I care.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Do it. You won't.
Don't say, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Your secret's safe with me.
What? Who would ever say that?
There are people that do that. Okay. Also, you don't want to ask them a question where they could where you're implying that you want to know for an answer. So, for example, the example question they give is, you're not thinking about suicide, are you?
Don't ask questions like that.
Because that implies that you want to know from them. Or you're not thinking about doing something stupid, are you? Because by doing the part about the question that where it implies that you want that no is that last little bit, are you? You can ask the question, are you thinking about suicide? But by tagging on that, are you? That's almost kind of like in English way of saying like, I want you to give me that no as an answer.
So I feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like I said, if you feel like, something were to happen, 911, drive them to a hospital if you're with them or close by them. Get them the help they need. And when I say a hospital, I'm talking about like a 911 like an emergency room, because they can hold them for treatment and get them to where they need to go if that has to happen. It's not always easy to recognize those things, but be on the lookout, especially for people that you interact with on a regular basis. Check for when they make those sudden changes in moods, or you have the friend that never drinks more than a shot and a beer, and then all of a sudden they're drinking 3 shots back to back with 2 beers, which is what I was doing, where even the bartender noticed. The bartender even goes, what's wrong?
Good job, bartender.
That was Larissa.
That was her.
That was Larissa, where she goes, this isn't normal. What's wrong? And she flat out asked me, "What's wrong?"
Yeah, Larissa.
Because she knew my drinking habits, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it changed one week, just drastically.
What the heck? Dang. I
And it
never
was
would've
enough
thought
for her to
about
go,
that.
"Something's wrong, something's up, what's wrong?"
Wow.
So pay attention to those things because that could be life or death for people. It really can be. It doesn't even seem like it might be important, but it is. And know how to have that conversation and plan ahead and know what to do if a friend of yours all of a sudden drops that bomb on you one day and goes, "I don't think life's worth living," or you think you're watching, you're seeing all these signs, and you go, "Hey, you've been acting out of sorts recently. Is everything okay? Are are you are you okay? Are you fine?" You know, have that plan of what to do then and what the steps are to take next.
Yeah.
And that's why, as part of this, I'm telling you, and I wasn't just using that as part of the example. I'm
No.
telling you, if I go down that path again, you have full rights to come to me and say, "Give me the guns.
Hand it over.
Hand the guns over."
Hmm. That's right. I do have to say plural.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Hand that's why I said hand them over because 'cause I'll cover them all.
Yeah. Just
You know?
hand it them.
So that's why it's like, it is important for you to have that in place, and especially if you have a friend who maybe does have guns or stuff like that, and, you're close enough with them and be like, "Alright, it's like, I know you have a lot of guns," maybe be like, "What are we gonna do about them while you're going through this?"
Mhm.
And maybe it's not a, "Hey, we, put them all at someone else's house." Maybe it's, "You know what? For right now, reach into the safe, change the code, and take away the key.
Take the keys. Right.
Take the keys,
Well,
but change the code."
thankfully, we can't fit all of mine into the safe, so
Okay, then they're going away.
ah!
But that's what you need to do at times.
Yeah.
But you need to be willing to have that conversation and not shy away from it just because the fact of, "I don't wanna take his stuff."
Hey, you know what? Think of I don't know, just thinking about that. I don't know, maybe I'm completely off, but it's like just now how I thought of it. That's kind of a selfish move. Very selfish move
What is?
to shy away from it.
To shy away from that conversation?
Yeah, because you're avoiding your own like comfort, even though you'll still probably be very uncomfortable mentally thinking about are they going to do anything? Are they going to do anything? But yet you're still not going to make that choice to reach out and talk to them because you don't want to make whatever.
You
You
don't
don't
wanna
want to
make
cause a situation or make something out of it, I guess.
Yeah, you don't wanna make them upset that you're taking away their favorite pastime activity of maybe shooting or whatever.
Right.
Or, maybe they have a history of cutting themselves and they love woodworking, but you're taking away their knives temporarily so they can't do
And then
some of
think
that.
of how terrible you're going to feel after that if they end up do.
Yeah. And it is a responsible thing to say, "We need to have a conversation about what to do with these things." And in the moment, especially someone who's depressed, and that they may act very angrily back at you, towards you with, "You're gonna take away my stuff because I have an issue, because I feel sad inside? You're gonna take away my items?"
Yeah.
And they may lash out.
Yeah. Oh, that's scary. But yeah.
You gotta remember when you're dealing with stuff like that, when you're going through depression, when you're going through suicidal thoughts,
You're not in your right mind.
you're not in your right mind at all. And again, remember the anger, the mood swings.
Yeah.
It's a very real thing.
Things are intensified.
Yeah. And so you cannot take whatever a person says in that state personally, because if you take it personally, there's going to be a lot of stuff said that they probably don't mean to say and probably wouldn't say in normal circumstances. Like at that point, being very honest, there are probably times that if someone would have tried to confront me and say, "Hey, you need to get help, before I was ready to accept it,
Yeah.
I probably would have cussed them out.
Yeah.
I don't swear that often. I probably would have been a sailor.
Yeah. Ugh.
Because in my head, and I say when people around me, when you all were doing certain things, in my head,
It's just
it was a sailor going off 24/7. It was, yeah. Oh, no, it was
Yeah.
definitely not just 4-letter words.
all the big words.
It was every word possible going off in my head 24/7
Ugh.
when people got me upset, and
Yeah.
it honestly was the stupidest stuff at times.
Right.
Like, oh, they talked without looking my way. It was horrible. Living in my head was not fun during that time, let me tell you. Oh, it was not fun at all, but,
Ugh.
got through it, thankfully,
Mhm.
and, made it through, but that's just it. I would not wish that on the worst person in the world, but that's also at the same time why it's important for those around me, because I do have a history with that sort of stuff, to know what those signs are in case I ever start traveling down that path again. Hopefully, I'll be upfront about it when I am heading down that path, but
Mhm.
a lot of times when you start going that way, you're like, "Nope, no one needs to know, blah, 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 blah."
Right. Yep.
So, keep an eye out for, stuff like that around, and obviously, if you want to do more than that, there's actually this website called livingworks.net, where you could actually get actual training in suicide prevention, like,
Huh.
more than just the whole, "Hey, here's some quick words to say, here's some quick things to understand," and all that. You can actually do that. There's also you could do they have a couple workshops that they do. So one is called the Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training. It's a workshop for people who want to learn and be more comfortable and confident to help prevent the immediate risk of suicide. So, like, we're talking like someone's like, "I'm gonna pull the trigger."
Yeah.
How do you help talk them down
De-escalate.
and de-escalate and get them the help they need? But they also have other stuff where it's like, "Hey," and it's for anyone over the age of 15 to help them identify persons with thoughts of suicide and connect them with uh, resources to get help. Obviously, not them be the help, but help them get help. So in the case of, like, let's say me and you, for you to help me get put me in contact with the resources to help me out, not
Yeah.
you be the one,
To help you
to
out.
do everything. Yep. So there's things like that as well. So there are resources out there to learn for that. There's also the QPR Institute, which does some more training as well. They're the question, persuade, refer. They call it the 3 steps anyone can learn to help prevent suicide.
Mm.
So they have online training, they have in-person training, and all that. So you can do all that and go to the website. Again, that's qprinstitute.com. And it is, like I said, it's May, mental health awareness. It's something that is important, something that's on my mind, something that's on a lot of people I know's mind. I'm learning more and more. So, you know, know know the signs, know what to look for in your friends and your family and your coworkers that you're close with. You know what to look for to say, "Hey, are you okay? What can I do for you?"